Now, I don't want to get off on a rant here.
Okay, here it is. I'm Razor from the QR code, and a couple of things have been on my mind. First of all, with this upcoming game and Kirk Cousins' return to Minnesota, and the quarterback news that's been going on, and all of the discussion around Daniel Jones, it's come to my attention that it seems that quite a few Vikings fans have short-term memories. We seem to have forgotten the 6 years that we spent with Kirk Cousins being a high paid, low performing quarterback, how he was brought in to be the savior of a franchise that had just missed getting to the Super Bowl and failed to do that, failed miserably, winning only one playoff game in his entire tenure here. Now, with the acquisition of Daniel Jones, it seems to me that people are thinking, well, Daniel Jones is being brought in to compete with Sam Darnold. He'd be an upgrade, and Sam Darnold's doing well. Why don't we just sign Sam Darnold to an extension for a few years? Why don't we repeat the same mistake we made with Kirk Cousins? The Minnesota Vikings took the step of drafting a top 10 quarterback for the first time in decades. Well, yes, for decades. And they decided J.J. McCarthy was going to be the starting quarterback, the future of the franchise going forward. That doesn't mean we don't need a backup quarterback. Doesn't mean that we don't need somebody else on the roster who, in the event that J.J. McCarthy goes down, even for one play, we need somebody competent, somebody capable, somebody who can come in and carry the team. Daniel Jones may or may not be that person, but we don't know. Kevin O'Connell seems to think that there was something in him that he can work with, much in the same way he rebuilt Sam Darnold, much in the same way he rebuilt Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was a middling 500 quarterback until Kevin O'Connell coached him up. And to think that Daniel Jones is now going to come in and he's going to supplant J.J. McCarthy seems to be a bit of it just seems a little ludicrous. J.J. McCarthy is the plan for 2025 and going forward. Not every roster move that's made is made in the interest of improving the current team. Kevin O'Connell's system seems to take a very long time to learn, and bringing in a quarterback like Daniel Jones in November of 2024, giving him nearly an entire year to learn a system before he'll have to back up a quarterback seems to be a very smart idea. If Daniel Jones is not here in 2025, that's on him. Maybe he wants to go out and try the market, see if he can bail somewhere else, or maybe he'll succeed. I don't know. But it's costing the Minnesota Vikings nothing to put a live arm and an active body in the room. And that I applaud. For that, I applaud Kevin O'Connell. I applaud Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and the Minnesota Vikings for having the foresight to not go down the path that we went down to the past 6 years, to not get into the position where everything is tied up in Kirk Cousins and he goes down and we're looking at Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullen and Jaron Halligan. We've been down that road. We've seen where that road ends. It ends in a brick wall. I applaud the current administration for doing the great job that they're doing. That being said, Sam Darnold, and everybody's talking about how well he's doing and how he should possibly be signed to an extension. Sam Darnold came to this team as a bridge quarterback. He knows it. We know it. Sam Darnold is not the answer for the Vikings. He's the solution to a problem we had. The problem we had was overpaying for a quarterback who was underperforming. Sam Darnold solved that problem, and he freed up money that we can actually use and did use to sign free agents to have defensive players that we weren't able to afford. Minnesota is now a destination, which it hasn't been for most of my lifetime, and which is most of the team's lifetime. Minnesota is a place that players want to come and play. And because of that, you're not negotiating at nearly the high price that you would be to convince somebody to play for, say, a Carolina or the Raiders, because players want to come here. There's a winning culture, there's winning attitude, and let's face it, at 10-2, there's flat out winning. A lot of players would love to be on a 10-2 team right now. Fans who seem to think 10-2 isn't good enough, I'm not sure how many of us would have turned down 10-2 after 12 games at the start of this season. Bringing in a journeyman like Sam Darnold meant that the expectations, except for those who are eternal optimists or delusional, anybody who thought that Sam Darnold would have won 10 of his first 12 games uh, should have gone to Vegas. They should have gone to Vegas and put money on it. And apparently, few people did. Las Vegas had the Vikings winning 6.5 games this season. We've surpassed that already. We've still got a month to play. So I think that kudos to the Vikings, kudos to Quay Mensa, kudos to Kevin O'Connell and the coaching staff, kudos to Sam Darnold, kudos to the defense, kudos to Brian Flores. And I think that we should enjoy the ride and see where it goes. This is not a Super Bowl year for the Minnesota Vikings. I know a lot of fans, especially the younger ones, want every year to be a Super Bowl year, but only one team wins the Super Bowl each year, and the other 31 don't. That doesn't mean that the other 31s are failures. Sometimes it's a building year, sometimes it's a rebuilding year. This is a development year. We are coming out from under the financial disaster of having Kirk Cousins, a 6-year mistake that it took 6 weeks for the Atlanta Falcons to realize that they'd made. And for that, I'm excited. I want to see where the future takes us. I want to see where this season ends up. I want to get ready for J.J. McCarthy to start in 2025, possibly Daniel Jones or somebody else serviceable, somebody else competent behind him, because the Minnesota Vikings have not had two quarterbacks on the roster, two real quarterbacks on the roster since I believe Dante Culpepper was the quarterback. We went years with Sean Mannion as the backup. We went with Jaron Hall as the backup. We have never been in a position where we did not have to panic, like most teams, where we had to panic if our starting quarterback went down. There'd be a precipitous drop off between number one and number two. There still may be, there still possibly will be, but we won't know that going into next year to have both J.J. McCarthy and Daniel Jones actually learning the playbook without the necessity to go out and perform is an absolute benefit. And again, for that, I applaud the Minnesota Vikings.